This is Southern Cross News with Rachel Williams.
Good evening. An emergency warning for a catastrophic bushfire at Georgetown has recently been downgraded to a watch and act alert. Residents in Marguerite Street, Alfred Street and Mount George Road were advised to evacuate with fears the fast-moving blaze could put lives at risk. Crews are battling to bring the fire under control from the ground and from the air. Our reporter Tom Johnson joins us now live from the scene. Good evening, Tom. How close is the fire to residents?
Well, Rachel, the fire's currently burning around a kilometre away from Georgetown, but the closest properties are more like a couple of 100 metres away. It all began at around 3 o'clock this afternoon, with strong winds making the job very tough for crews here. Water bombers are on hand. They're going back and forth to nearby dams and just dumping water on the blaze. There are also around 24 fire crews on the ground, some of them going to properties and telling residents to evacuate. Police are not ruling out any possible causes of the blaze at this stage, including arson, but we're being told firefighters are getting the upper hand.
At this stage, the property damage is limited, as far as we know, to one telegraph pole, and we do have some power lines down. So if I could encourage people who are coming to the area, if you don't need to be here, please stay away until the fire's completely out and the area can be returned to normal. The good news is I've just spoken to the brigade chief and they're in the process of knocking the fire down. Hopefully we'll have some good news soon.
Now, the roads are currently blocked still around Georgetown, Rachel, and an evacuation centre has been set up at the Memorial Hall in town. For now, it's back to you.
OK, thank you for that, Tom. Tom Johnson there in Georgetown. And there are more details about that fire situation on the TFS website. A man has allegedly been carjacked at gunpoint as he arrived home in Lenna Valley last night. Police say it was part of a string of crimes, including evading police, and only ended when officers deployed road spikes. 3 people are now facing charges. Michael Breen has this report.
Last night, police were kept busy with a string of allegedly linked incidents across Hobart. It started around 11:30 at Montrose, where a black Suzuki allegedly evaded officers. Police say the car was dumped near a carjacking in Lenna Valley around 12:40. That stolen car was taken to Berrydale, where it was spiked.
Police located a loaded 12-gauge sawn-off shotgun in the vehicle and also a pistol. 2 male persons were then located hiding nearby, and a female was also located.
The car involved was in the police compound today, where you could clearly see the damage done to the tyres. The victim of the carjacking was allegedly threatened at gunpoint, but was physically unharmed.
Certainly wasn't injured, but as you can expect was shaken by the fact that someone's allegedly pummeled a firearm in his face and stolen his car.
Police have charged 1 man with aggravated carjacking, unlawfully setting fire to property, motor vehicle stealing, evading police, firearm and driving offences. With the investigation still underway tonight, police aren't publicly revealing what they think the motivation is behind last night's events, but they're urging anyone with information to contact Crime Stoppers.
A 16-year-old boy from Youngtown has been arrested and has fronted court, charged in relation to an armed robbery at the Eastside News Agency in Ravenswood early on New Year's Day. He's set to reappear in court at a later date. Tasmanian voters are still uncertain about what date they'll head to the polls for the upcoming state election due in March. The government remaining tight-lipped today, instead quick to shift the focus onto its plan for employment, health and a tough stance on crime.
All Liberal candidates out in full force today, but still no date revealed about when Tasmanians will head to the polls. The Liberal Party instead spruiking its commitment to employment, health and a tougher stance on crime following a discussion paper on proposed changes to the bail system.
Our priority is on community safety, reducing the risk of offenders or those who are bailed causing further damage in our communities.
The changes include the presumption against bail for serious offending and those with a history of breaching bail. But Labor believe
This government is very much focused on looking tough on crime, but not doing an awful lot about the things that cause crime and ensuring that people are appropriately rehabilitated.
The Law Society of Tasmania welcomes the review, but says the system works well as it is.
All of the things the government speaks of in its discussion paper, all the things it looks at, so people with a bad bail history, people who've committed serious crimes, courts already look at these things when deciding whether to release someone. There's nothing new. They don't need to be told to take into account significant and important things.
Meanwhile, Labor's poker machine policy remaining a contentious issue.
By taking poker machines out of pubs and clubs, we'll just likely drive them into casinos to do exactly the same thing. It's a policy that takes away people's choice. It's a policy that says that the Labor Party knows better than anyone.
Labor is firmly committed behind our policy of removing poker machines from pubs and clubs. We're doing it because it's a public health issue. We know the harm it causes. We know that there'll be a campaign run against us. We made our decision knowing that because we think it's in the best interest for Tasmanians.
Voters are expected to head to the polls in March. Rita Risk, Southern Cross News.
A group of cyclists say they're counting themselves lucky after being clipped by a hire vehicle yesterday. They were riding along Richmond Road around midday when the camper van drove past, hitting two of the front cyclists. Luckily, they weren't injured. They say the driver of the hire car didn't speak much English, only to say, "Sorry, mirror big." The incident was reported to police. More Tasmanians have been caught speeding and drink driving over this Christmas period compared to last year. As the statewide Operation Crossroads came to an end last night, police are urging drivers to respect the road rules in the year ahead.
We still write far too many speeding tickets. We still detect far too many people for speeding. We'll continue on those focuses and we'll keep directing our personnel and our efforts towards bringing those numbers down, both the detections but also the crashes.
Police have charged close to 100 drink drivers across the state and more than 1,300 for speeding. Luckily, there have been no fatal crashes over the holiday period. A Sandy Bay home has been targeted in an arson attack with 2 fires in as many days. Around 5:30 this morning, windows were broken and a fire started with accelerant, causing $50,000 worth of damage. No one was home at the time. Yesterday morning, the occupants discovered a fire in the kitchen.
We've got 2 fires at the one property within 24 hours of each other, so it's quite clear there's some suspicious activity, but again, we're really relying on some information from the public as well.
Police are calling for witnesses who saw anything suspicious near Earl Street, including a car that sped from the scene. Labor says the pre-Christmas gift of a $125 energy rebate promised by the state government has not been fulfilled for some pensioners in Tasmania. Michelle O'Byrne says she has received complaints that eligible recipients have failed to receive their cheques around the expected date. But Premier Will Hodgman says all the payments have been made and people with concerns should contact Aurora Energy. Tomorrow marks the final day of the Taste of Tasmania. Organisers say the Kids in the Park activities have been a big success this year, with plenty of free entertainment aimed at families.
We've tried to create opportunities for families to be deeply engaged together in activities, which is a change. It's much more interactive. There's more opportunities for families to do things together.
The Taste wraps up tomorrow at 11 p.m. Now a look at business and finance with thanks to Tasplan, your local super fund. The Australian shares have ended the first day of trade for 2018 slightly lower, dragged down by soft financial stocks amid weak trading volumes and an absence of overseas leads. The ASX 200 index has dropped by 3.8 points. A short time ago, the Australian dollar was trading at 78.39 US cents and 110.13 New Zealand cents.
Hobart Hurricane slugger Darcy Short has earned praise from Australian cricketing royalty after a man-of-the-match performance against the Thunder overnight. It proved one of the games of the tournament so far, coming down to the wire with the Canes holding on by 9 runs.
The perfect way for the Canes to start the new year.
A great win for the Hobart Hurricanes.
It was the man of the match who set the tone early with Short on fire. In one of the performances of the season so far, the Northern Territory product belted 19 off Shane Watson in a single over. Short racing towards his ton before he came unstuck, just 3 runs shy. His performance enough to earn praise from some of the game's greats, with Shane Warne tweeting he looks like a cricketer that we'll be seeing in Aussie colours shortly. Ben McDermott, the other standout with a bat, notching 49 off just 25 balls. All done for 189, the Canes total seemed out of reach, if not for an informed Joss Butler. Cam Boyce claiming the crucial wicket of Watson before ending Callum Ferguson's night on the very next ball.
Archer, will he hold on to this one? He does.
Barbadian import Jofra Archer again on song with the ball, taking 2 of his own. But with Butler refusing to budge, it all came down to the final over. The Canes taking their first win of the season, with the Thunder falling 9 runs short.
Cycling king Sam Welsford has sealed his 3rd Bernie Wheel crown in a row at West Park overnight. Welsford was in a neck-and-neck showdown on the final lap before pulling clear of his rivals at the final turn.
He's been the carnival's centrepiece in recent years, and now Sam Welsford has made history. Starting from scratch, the West Australian set up the race of his life with Nick Yularis on the bell.
And look at Nick Yularis! Yularis is doing a huge turn here.
But a gritty Welsford lifted another gear on the final lap to go 30 metres clear.
On your feet, you do the big shout, Sam Welsford!
It took 2 victory laps before reality set in.
We just went out there and went full gas and just, lucky enough got the win.
The 21-year-old is just the 3rd man to win 3 Bernie Wheels after cycling legends Danny Clark and Stephen Pate. But Welsford is the first to win all 3 of his titles in succession.
We've been on since Boxing Day, so a bit of fatigue banking up right now, but a couple of days easy before the Melbourne Nationals, and hopefully they'll be firing again.
In the women's wheel, the crowd was right behind local star Amy Cure, who was chasing her 4th Bernie Wheel. But an 18-year-old from Adelaide had her measure.
Maeve Proof takes it out from Amy Cure.
I could sort of hear the commentator, and I knew that she was right behind me, so it was pretty much just had a tailwind along this back section, and I just had to spin as fast as I could to stay away.
Another 18-year-old made a statement last night, this time in the women's gift. Hobart's Kiani Allen, the fastest qualifier, edged out scratch runners Maddie Coates and Ash Whittaker, along with 3-time winner Morgan Gaffney.
Kiani Allen's going to win it in a streak. She does it easily in the end.
I was really nervous, but I was really excited just to go out and run and try as best as I could.
After being runner-up in 2017, Bernie's Daniel Reeves went one better in the men's gift, edging out Eddie Gates in a blockbuster finish.
Eddie Gates and Reeves hit the line. Reeves has won it. Daniel Reeves from the front mark has taken out the Bernie gift.
A physio by day, Reeves was up against some of his clients.
Actually came up against Nathan Reale in the semi, and I gave him a massage yesterday.
King Island's Stuart McSwain fought gallantly in the mile, but starting from scratch was too much for McSwain as he watched Perth's Matt Ramsden sail across the line.
It's going to be Matt Ramsden who takes it out. A fantastic victory in the Zest Open Mile of 2018.
I just wanted to beat the back markers by about the same as what the handicap was, so I just kept powering along even though I knew I had the win.
And Tassie Axeman Cody Steers was beaten by Glenn Gillam in the standing block.
I'm just a boy from the bush from Toongabbie in Victoria, and yeah, just diesel mechanic by day and just enjoy chopping wood on the weekends.
The Hobart Carnival is on this Sunday before St Helens wraps up the Carnival series on January 20. Tom Johnson, Southern Cross News.
Local yacht Philosopher has taken out back-to-back King of the Derwent titles today, as more than 30 boats, including some of the Sydney Hobart fleet, provided a spectacle on the river.
It may not carry with it the same prestige as the Sydney Hobart, but try telling that to the King of the Derwent fleet.
Whenever it's a race, yachties always take it seriously, so they'll always be trying to race someone in the fleet, whether it be the front runner or the back marker. They'll still be trying to beat the boat next to them.
32 boats took to the river today for the race's 40th edition, weaving just metres between each other as they positioned themselves at the starting line. The bad luck continued for Tasmanian yacht Tilt, retiring minutes before the race with gear damage, just days after being forced to quit the Launceston to Hobart due to a torn mainsail. As expected, Sydney Hobart competitor Oscana took out line honours late this afternoon, with Derwent Sailing Squadron yacht Philosopher making it back-to-back overall wins.
For boats that have done the sort of coastal or offshore races, it's the culmination of their series for the Melbourne to Hobart boats and the Lonnie to Hobart boats. Just a bit of a spectacle to get that many boats out on the water.
Good evening. Hobart 24 today, Launceston 22 degrees, Burnie and Devonport recording 21. 25 the top at Fingal and St Helens on a windy day that blew a few showers over the west and far south. Friendly Beaches 24, Campania 23, Bushy Park 22 today, Wynyard Grove and Flinders Island 21 degrees, King Island and Low Head both on 20. Low cloud is being directed ahead of a cold front which is approaching our southwest. More of that cloud is also pushing over southern Victoria and South Australia. A monsoon trough and thundercloud is over the north of the country. Now the west and south with most of the cloud today as the high cloud cleared the north-east of the state. Tomorrow a high pressure system over the Bight directs a weak west to southwesterly stream over the state. The trough remains over the mainland's north with another down the west coast. West to southwest winds 15 to 20 knots with afternoon coastal sea breezes over the north and east. Swells up to 4 metres in western and southern waters. Here's the forecast for tomorrow. Partly cloudy and 21 for Hobart. 19 the top for Geefston. 18 for Bothwell. Bit of cloud about but fine. Partly cloudy and fine for Launceston. 23 tomorrow along with Cressy. 21 the high for Devonport. Burnie partly cloudy and 21. 18 for Strawn with a shower or two. 18 also for Curry and partly cloudy on King Island. St Helens partly cloudy 21. 21 also for Swansea and Orford. The UV very high over the west coast but extreme for the rest of the state. On Thursday showers over the west and south but mainly fine elsewhere. Warming up a bit on Friday and sunny apart from a shower later for the west. And on Saturday warming up a lot. 33 for Hobart but we will have fresh and gusty nor'westerly winds. Sunny in Perth tomorrow along with Adelaide and Alice Springs. A morning shower for Melbourne. A shower or two also forecast for Canberra and Sydney. A storm possible for Brisbane and Darwin. Cloudy conditions at the moment, 18 degrees in Hobart, 21 in Launceston, Devonport 19 too. I know Christmas and New Year is over, Rachel, but it's great to see that you're still putting your Christmas decorations to use on your earlobes tonight. Wonderful.
I knew you'd like my new little earrings. Thank you for that, Murph. Well, before we leave you tonight, updating our lead story for tonight. And the Tasmania Fire Service issued an emergency warning earlier today for a fire burning out of control near Georgetown. The situation has now been downgraded to an alert level, with crews getting the upper hand on the blaze. There is an evacuation centre set up at the Memorial Hall. For the latest information, go to the Tasmanian Fire Service website. That's all your news for now. I'll be back later with updates. Thanks for joining us. Good night.